Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Reeves Ramblings. Oh my god, you guys must be so tired of me um getting on here and stopping and then starting, just like being wishy-washy, which to be honest, I really sometimes I'm like that, and it is a toxic trait of mine and one that I'm trying to work at, but I mean, I'm human, right? So it's really good to be back online rambling with you guys. Yeah, I missed sitting in front of my microphone, so let's hope I can remain consistent. So yeah, welcome to another episode of Ree's Ramblings. For those who are listening for the first time, my name is Shauna. I am a Jamaican living in China, and this is just my little form of therapy, as you will. I like to talk about any and everything, and yeah, I use this platform to do so. So, welcome. If you have not connected with me on Instagram, feel free to do so at Shauna Reeves 18. So, I saw something on Instagram this week that encouraged me to get back on here. Um, it was by this guy I follow. He's called Maddie, and he stated that consistent does not mean constant. And I know I mentioned this briefly before, but I feel like it should be repeated because it's something that I struggle with. I like, okay, I want to be consistent, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then because I feel like I'm not doing it regular enough or constant, then sometimes I misinterpret that for a lack of consistency when that really isn't the case. So when I'm unable to be constant, it throws the whole thing off, and I feel like I'm not doing anything, and then I stop doing everything. I mean, for example, like with exercising, sometimes right now I exercise 3 times a week. I wake up at 5:30, but there are some mornings where I don't get up out of my bed at 5:30 because I'm exhausted or I stayed up late the night before studying and just life, and then I don't, and then the next day when I should, there's this voice in my head, well, like, you didn't do it yesterday, so what's the point of doing it today? And I find that that happens in a lot of areas of my life, and it's something that I do actively have to work on, just reminding myself that consistent does not mean constant. So if I can only manage to wake up once per week to exercise, then if I consistently do that, then I will see a difference. Whereas I push myself, no, 3 times per week, and then I fall off. And that happens with regards to eating healthy, or you start this diet and then you fall off and you berate yourself, and you're stuck in this cycle and you don't really achieve anything. Like, I'm speaking from experience, not necessarily only with exercise or with a diet, but also with starting multiple projects, because I have a lot of ideas and sometimes I think like too much because I don't even know what to do with them. And I start all these stuff and then I feel like I can do them all. And if I'm not giving 100% in them, then I feel like a failure and I stop. And then I stop everything, which is, again, another thing I have to work on, because I am aware of this and I've been aware of it for a while, and I should actually actively try to do so. So, yeah, the key to being consistent is to do so with what you can do. So, yes, we aspire to do XYZ, but sometimes we just can't because life is happening. So, it's like reward your progress, not the perfection and not the results, but the small goals, or the small targets rather, that are getting you towards the results that you desire. So if the result is 100%, then you reward yourself for the 5%, for the 10%. And that's where you notice, like, how much joy, how much satisfaction you feel from just showing up for yourself. And as I said, this is an ongoing process for me because I like to set targets and just knock them off like bam bam. But sometimes you can't do that. You've got to sit in it. And the funny thing is, the journey is often such a beautiful one, but we're so focused on where we're heading, like we miss or we don't realize what we're experiencing. I'm gonna repeat that because I just heard it and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. Oh, what did I say? Yeah, so like sometimes we're so focused on where we're heading that like we miss the journey. We don't realize what we're experiencing along the way because we're so focused on where we're heading. So there are so many lessons in showing up day after day, like moment after moment. You develop grit and tenacity and, dare I say, like a vagina. Like, sorry, I don't subscribe to saying growing balls. So like, yeah, I mean, I am kind of a bit of a feminist in some regards, but yeah, I believe that if you want to talk about tough, then you should mention the vagina. Okay, please do not take this out of context. I just realized what I said on Beyonce's internet. But anyway, so yeah, here we are again, I guess, with another challenge of consistency. I know I've said it over and over again. And I mean, I also posted on my Instagram, like, I think maybe a couple weeks ago, that, sometimes the problem is you. Like, you're the problem. Like, sometimes you have to just get sick and tired of yourself, like, sick and tired of the mediocrity, of not showing up for yourself, of like of just not doing what you should be doing. And I feel that way about myself a lot of times. And I mean, I can be pretty hard on myself, and that's why I try to practice giving myself grace. But like sometimes you have to just be accountable. Like, yeah, like you're the problem. So let's try to hold each other accountable on this consistency journey. And you guys can connect with me, I mentioned before, at Shauna Reeves 18 on Instagram. And yeah, let's do it. Speaking of which, one of the other reasons why I got back on here was because one of my Instagram friends, I have lots of Instagram besties. I love them. But Lissy, she reached out to me sometime, I think also this week or last week, saying that she missed my podcast. Her IG is at Simply Lissy. So a bunch of people, or a bunch of you guys, have reached out to me about the podcast and like, oh, when are you starting at the podcast and stuff like that. And I appreciate them all. Her message just came at the time where I was like really thinking about doing this again, or like like, okay, let me drop an episode, let me stop letting anxiety control me, let me like dedicate some time to actually doing this. And like her message like really just like tipped me over the edge, and like, yeah, Shauna, just do it, so shout out to you, girl. Thank you so much for reaching out. So yeah, so that's that, some house cleaning, if you will. House cleaning, housekeeping, right? Oh god. Living in China, like when you don't use certain phrases, like you lose them, because I speak such basic English here. I mean, thankfully, I am studying, so I'm able to write academically, but there are some phrases that you never use here, like, for example, doing some housekeeping and not referring to actually cleaning my house. Like, yeah, like I don't say that to anyone here. Like, who, if I say that to someone, they'll be like, huh? Like, Shema? Sha? Yeah, so, like, what the hell are you talking about? So, what's happening? I think a lot, but at the same time, not a lot. Like, the season is changing, it's cold as hell, and for a girl from the tropics, yeah, like, I like autumn, I like spring, because it's like not too cold, not too hot. But where I live, it is extremely cold in autumn, so it's like we don't really have an autumn. And like for me, I lived in New York, so I was like, oh, the winter in China, like yeah, I can deal with that. But I feel like the winter in China, I feel like the cold stings, like it bites, like it just it's just really different. Like I can't even think about like a cute outfit or something. It's like fashion or function. Like I have to go for function with the coat. Like yeah, that's just how it is. Like you forget trying to take a cute picture outside. Like forget it. Like no. So that's what's been happening. And I mean, with the cold weather comes like matching sweater season. I saw another post on Instagram the other day. It's like, well, looks like matching sweater season will miss me again this year. That's so funny. So I guess for those of you who are single, you can, I don't know, dress up with yourself. Like, take yourself out. Like, I'm a huge supporter of self care and self love and like just doing everything for yourself because once you do that, you know what to expect and you know what you want as well. And oh, I think this is also like a good topic to talk about. Yeah, let's segue a bit into that. So yeah. Let's talk about that. So for me, I don't do the matching sweater thing. Would I want to do it? I guess, sure. Am I able to do it now? I don't think so. But uh dating in China, like I feel like dating like anywhere, it's fun or maybe not fun for some, but in China, like I feel like they're like two extremes for me personally. That's what I think. It's like you date casually or you're committed to the person. Like you, because I feel like you have to make like concerted effort and like really think about life after China. Like that's for me. If it's just like, oh, it's just casual fun, then I guess that part is easy. But then when you actually start to date someone, you're like, what's next? Like, what's after China? That's something that you have to think about. And maybe, yeah, if you're in the casual stage and you just want to have fun, I guess it's okay. But maybe if you're looking for more, it's a bit difficult and perhaps requires more commitment. For me, I've experienced both. Like I've been in a relationship, and I talked about it in some of my earlier episodes where I was with someone where I thought, like I could see a future, and I've also been in the casual stage, like just having fun, like dating casually. That's cool, like the dinners and the brunches and the conversation. I mean, it's always fun when someone else pays for your food and drink. Oh my god, yeah, like, and I like getting to know people. I mean, sometimes the conversation's like, I mean, like sometimes the conversation part is lacking, and but yeah, food and drink is always a good idea. Speaking of which, like, a friend showed me this video also a couple weeks ago. Like, I don't know, I don't remember the term, but the video was had this guy talking about how he like his dating life and saying he doesn't get to know the girl because after that it's like they become uninterested. And I mean, he was like, when he goes out on, I think he says like he dates for like 2 weeks, and when he goes out on a date, like maybe they don't even know share names or where they're from or any of that. It's just strictly um how was the weather, like type thing, like nothing beneath the surface. And I mean, I guess it's okay not to be invested, but I feel like people these days, I feel like that's rude as hell. Like I just feel like that's rude, and I feel like that should not be accepted. But I mean, I'm not trying to come across as like like the morality police or something, but I feel like you should like I can't imagine dating someone and not knowing their name. Like that's a no for me. I feel like sometimes as ladies we accept so little or too little from the men, therefore they just like dish out like whatever they want, like anything, you know. I mean, disclaimer, let me just put it out because again, this is the internet. If that's your style, like kudos to you. If you are comfortable with that, then it's fine. But I do know and I've heard of countless of stories of mediocre men feeling like this sense of entitlement because we allow it. And no, I'm not going on like a like an, you know, like a I hate men spiel. Not at all. Like I love and I respect men, you know, kings who act accordingly. Let me also add that in. And I mean, I am blessed to have been raised by one who showed me, you know, what it meant to have a man love you. Like my dad, he was my whole world. And, you know, like he was so amazing. And I feel like because I've had that, I cannot accept anything less. um and yeah, like whether we want to admit it or not, like our parents and the relationship we have with our dad or with our mom, it does affect the way how we date and how we show up in relationship. And this goes for males and females, like, you know, like whether you had an absentee mother or an absentee father, or just the dynamics that you had with your father, how you saw your dad show up, how you saw your mom show up. Like it affects your perception. It contributes to how you perceive relationship and how you will behave in your own relationship. So yeah, like, but um what I'm saying is that respect goes both ways. So like for the men, like please respect the woman you're dating, you know, like I mean, at least get her name or something. Or like, or even if you're not dating, like sexing or, you know, whatever you're doing, whatever. Like, I feel like it's the least you can do. And ladies, I feel like we should respect ourselves enough to get the hell out of a situation if respect is not being given, you know. So this dating thing is wild. Like I've seen some crazy stories in China, like expats with a wife in their home country and a whole family in China. I mean, people who have kids together yet live like halfway across the world from each other. And I mean, maybe for that one, it's, you know, like an accident and, you know, like the kid is here now. But yeah, it's child, it's just, yeah, it's a lot. So it's, yeah, that part is a lot. And not to mention the guys who will buy you one drink. You know, the guys, when you, okay, you go to the bar or whatever and you meet a guy and he starts talking to you and he buy, like, this is for the ladies, he buys you one drink or sometimes more, like, you know, one or two, and like he thinks that automatically means you'll go home with him, like, you know, like a whole mess. Oh my god. But for me, like a friend once told me that I'm intimidating, and I'm so glad. Like, call me intimidating or aggressive or whatever, but what you will not call me is a fool. Like, no, sir. Like, never left Jamaica for come to China, come be man clown. You must be mad. Like, nope. Anyways, like, I don't even remember how I got to this point. Oh yeah, but that's what I do. Like I ramble, but I feel like this is also like a very interesting topic, just not only for those in China, but like, you know, worldwide. Like I feel like every girl or every guy has some crazy dating or love story or some toxic ex or just some situations in some situation which you were in, which you had like no business being in. I mean, if you were in such situations and you're out and on the other side, then like, yeah, pick up yourself and like truly like hats off to you. I i commend your strength and choosing yourself. If you are still in certain situations, like, you know you should not be there, like, you know it within yourself, like, this is not for me, then it's not too late to love yourself a little bit more. And yeah, like we started talking about relationships, but even not only just like relationships in terms of like a partnership, but also like friendships, or even the relationship that you have with your family members, like they can also be toxic, you know, like you're stuck with a friend because you know each other from primary school, or you know, like with your family because, oh, they're family, and you just stay in situations that you know like they're not serving you. You're constantly drained, you're not growing, you feel berated and talked down to. Like, it's not too late to say, this is no longer for me, this is no longer serving me, and make the change. Like, your future self will thank you. Like, believe me, for real, for real. Like, sometimes you have to set the boundaries. Sometimes you just have to draw the line and say, yeah, this is it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I choose me. So yeah, here I go rambling again, guys. Thank you for listening. um, yeah, like, it's, as I said earlier, it feels good to be back in front of the mic. Let's see. Share your stories with me. Like, you know, like if you've dated in China, if you've been in like a situation, or you know, like not only dating in China but wherever, like, you know, we all have a story. Feel free to share in the comments or reach out to me on Instagram if you've been in the situation, if you are in the situation. Like, yeah, let's connect at Shauna Reeves 18. And thank you guys for listening. Here I go rambling again. I'll talk to you guys another time.